he brought you out of that situation you was in not long ago, stand up on your feet and give God some praise. Don't let the situation that you've been through that stopped you from getting to him, which was sin, give God his praise. Come on now. I don't know about you, but he saved me. This ain't time to be playing. This is serious. Give him praise. Come on, give him a good 10 seconds of praise. Don't worry about the person next to you. Know that it was God that delivered you. You know that when he did for you, he didn't have to do it. Give him a little more praise. I see some of y'all still looking around like you don't know what's going on. But we here for a breakthrough. Don't worry about the person next to you. And I love you, Jesus. I worship and I adore you. God is good. God is good. Amen. You all may be seated. It's a blessing to be standing before you. Because like I said the last time, the way how the system is designed, I'm not supposed to be here.
All right now.
I've done some of everything.
All right.
Many of us have. Some of us got caught. Others slipped and slid in.
All right. All right.
But you know, deep down inside, that it was help from somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether it was a praying grandmother,
All right now.
a praying mother, a praying auntie. I'm not confused where my blessings come from.
All right now.
I don't need nobody to help me praise him, because I'm going to praise him because I know what he did for me.
Yeah, praise God.
And it's time that we living in, people don't give God his praises, but yet and still we got a point to where we like to push a light, a sad face, and a heart on Facebook.
I see. I see.
If you ever want to get rid of some people you don't like, and that's not right for you, all you got to do is make a comment that's positive and see how many responses you get.
Amen. Preach, brother.
The world is preached. The way how the world is teaching us things backwards.
Yes. Yes.
Amen. But before I get started, I'm asking each of you just to stand up for a moment and just clear your minds, because it's a heavy burden going on in here.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it is something that's going on that's causing the men and women of God to give God his praises. This is serious business here.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Father God, I come to you right now, Lord.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Lord.
Lord, I ask that you remove every blockage that we are experiencing right now.
Yes,
Yes,
God.
God.
Whether it's finances or relationship,
Yes.
job,
Yes.
or whatever it is, Lord,
Yes.
Yes.
I ask that you remove it.
Yes, Lord.
Lord, I ask that I decrease while you increase.
Yes, God.
Jesus, I ask that I decrease
Yes.
as you increase.
Yes.
Yes, God.
Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, for you, my Lord, my strength, and my Redeemer.
Yes.
While you remain standing, we're going to turn our attentions to Psalms 25 and 7. For those of you who have smartphones, you can use it, and others that's old school that had the paperbacks, and if not, I'm not for sure, but you probably can see it on the board. But if not, it goes like this. Remember not the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions. According to thy mercy, remember thou me
Yes.
for thy goodness sake, O Lord.
Yes.
Amen. You all may be seated.
Amen.
Title of the subject that we're
we're going to be going over is exposing the enemy.
All right.
Exposing the enemy.
Yes.
That means we up against something that pretty much know our weaknesses.
I see.
But we don't know it because the way how our mind goes, the way our everyday activities are, we don't have time to pay attention to areas in our lives that we need improvements. And during this time, if you pay attention and notice that one of the main things that's going on in today's society that's constantly resurfacing is slavery.
Yes, it is.
Racism.
Yes.
We have President number 45 just kicking it all off. And now we're able to see people for who they are.
Yes.
Yes.
They're not hiding it. They're not showing you that they don't like you. They're not hiding it. They're going to show it to you. Whether you're on your job, whether you walk in, or even your neighbors. Race is a group of people. It's a group of people, not an individual.
All right.
So if you have issues and you feel like, hey, I'm going through racial discrimination, 99.9% of the time you're going to lose it because it's for a group and not an individual.
All right, now see.
Now, slavery has always been in existence. One is like the prison of wars when there's conflicts. The other one is a personal indebtedness when one is in debt and they can't repay. So back in the days, they'd be a slave and have to work it off.
That's right.
But this one right here is very interesting because it was never about color until around 1447 when Henry the Navigator, which was a Portuguese man, he went around Africa and he found some slaves. And during the course of him finding some slaves, he went back to Europe, and that's when he met up with Pope Eugenius IV. And while he met up with him, he gave him a couple of slaves. And while giving the slaves, he didn't want anything in return at the moment. He came back later. And he noticed how people of color was working. And so from that point, the Pope gave Henry, the Navigator, he gave him 300 miles of the coast of Africa, some land. These 300 miles of that he gave him, he didn't even own.
My Lord.
He did not own at all. And the thing about that is that we a people, true slavery started from ourselves. It wasn't another nationality.
All right.
Because over in Africa, the weaker tribe was the ones that were sold and given. So the Arabs and all the other individuals was trying to penetrate in Africa because then there was a land of gold and diamonds and many things.
Yes.
But they couldn't beat us because in the jungles you have the mass warriors and all that and all this hatred and anger going on. They couldn't penetrate it and beat it. But what happened here was that in order to buy from the people of color, they threw in a slave.
I see.
And when they threw the slave in, that was a reward to show like, hey, I could conquer this and I could do this. They was playing a game, and it turned around and bit them in the long run. So my point is that the enemy cannot come in and defeat you unless you invite him in.
All right now. I see. I see.
The enemy cannot come and defeat you unless you invite him in. Now, during this time, he penetrated. The other nationalities started coming in, getting involved. And when the navigator went back to the Pope, he realized that, wait a minute, we got something going on good here.
Mm-hmm.
We have a people that's strong and mighty,
Yeah.
but yet they are divided.
Mm.
Come on.
They'll sell each other out in a minute,
Mm.
real quick,
Yeah.
super quick.
Yeah.
So, 1487, the Pope signed a public declaration that well, it was a legitimate issue that you can sell. So, in other words, it's okay.
Uh-huh.
But the problem is, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Because many centuries later, yet still, we still selling each other out, arguing, fighting, can't get along.
My God.
Work, home, some instances, disagreements, everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, metaphorically speaking, here's the lady who was driving on the road. On her way home, and she saw a snake laying on the side of the road, dying. So she decides to pull her car over and pick the snake up and to bring the snake home
Yeah.
and to nurture the snake.
Mm.
Every day she made sure that the snake was okay. Until one day she came home, the snake was all well and strong. So she went to go to feed him, and he bit her. And she turned around and she looked at the snake like, why did you bite me? Why did you do that? All soft spoken. And the snake looked at her. You knew who I was before you brought me home.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
Yeah. All right. All right.
So the moral of it is we invite things into our lives that we don't have to.
All right now.
Especially, we supposed to be men and women of God.
Yes.
A lot of things we supposed to not do.
All
But
right.
if ain't nobody looking,
Uh-huh.
we don't.
Yeah.
Now, here it is. We come to church. You have some people over here praising God. You have some sitting over there spectating, wondering what's going on. But let me explain this to you. If Jesus was to walk straight through this door right now, we have different categories of people. You have one category of people that's too busy and occupied. See who on Facebook? Did I miss my message? Did she call me? Or did he hit me up? I'll get back with you in a minute.
Yeah.
And Jesus will walk right past you. Then you have the other ones. They got all the answers. Can tell you, I know the Lord, he heard my cry, I know all this stuff. And he walked right past you. You won't see him. But then you have a group of people that's like this. And Jesus walked through the door. They hide. Know why they hide? Because they know what they did last night. And not only what they did last night, they're thinking about what they're going to do once they bounce up out of here. But then you're going to miss out.
Yeah.
And then you have the other ones that holding up both of their hands
Yeah. Thank you, Lord.
and praising God and thanking him
Yeah.
for everything that he's done.
Yeah.
And the reason why you have people holding up both of their hands, praising God, is because we like a baby. Mothers, you notice when your child first started to walk, in order for them to get that balance in life, they holding up both of their hands.
Yeah.
So that's why when we in worship, that we hold up both hands.
Yeah.
Not for fashion show. Now, some people might keep their hands down because they're not sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They may not put deodorant on and handle that what they're supposed to.
Yeah.
But besides the point, we have to learn not to let the enemy in. And what I noticed is that it's time for the people, talking about us, to realize that our lives serve a greater purpose.
Amen. Come on. Come on.
Sometimes we can focus more on rehearsing a hurt, practicing the pain. He did me wrong. She did me wrong.
Yeah.
And got all this residue going on. And then it could be a brother or sister that's very interested in you until you open up your mouth.
Oh,
That's why there's a lot of single people, because your mouth.
Yeah.
great brother.
I'm coming from a married man because I had a bad mouth and bad attitude too.
Yeah.
But until I learned to put God first
Yeah.
and allow him to work on me,
Yeah.
then he provided me with my wife.
Yeah. All right.
But before then, I ain't seen nothing. I ain't did nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
So y'all be careful about that snake which y'all let in the house now.
Yeah. All right now.
He will bite you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in Psalms 25:7, remember not the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions.
All right.
According to thy mercy, remember thou me for thy goodness' sake.
Yes.
That was David. Geographic of this part is in Psalms, which was in the land of Israel, and Psalms mean praise. What's important is that it's time for us to stop playing church.
All right.
It's time for us to stop professing God today, tomorrow, start back over again, go back and forth. Double-minded.
Yes.
Talks about it in the book of James. Unstable in all ways.
Yes. Yes. That's well.
What David starts to realize is the most important is the attributes of God. He starts to realize that God is almighty,
Yes.
all wonderful, all loving,
Yes.
all kind,
Yes.
forgiving. That's when he was able to start to examine himself. See, we have to start seeing a clear picture of ourselves.
Yes.
Some of the sin that we go through and some of the things that we experience, it's not because of the enemy.
All right.
It's because of our choices.
You're right about that.
Right.
It's because of our choices. Choices have consequences.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Choices have consequences. If you're weak, the first thing we do is get on the telephone and call somebody. You know, I got a problem with this, that, and other. And then we can find it in that person. You're not going to say nothing? No, I ain't going to say nothing. You can tell me anything. Okay, good, because I need somebody to let this go with. In 2 minutes after you get off the phone, they're going to call somebody, and that somebody going to call somebody, and that other person going to call that person, and now you mad.
Yeah.
But you put your business out there.
Yeah. Come on.
You allowed the enemy in.
Yeah.
See, the true thing what we're supposed to do is to take it to God.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're supposed to take our problems to God in private,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then come to church and praise him outward because we know that thing is done.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But that's not the case. We want to try it this way. Oftentimes, we complain about everything. My money funny. My girl acting funny. My last one I was with, she didn't appreciate me. And the ladies, they have the other part is that, your mama's boy. Soon as time to pay bills, watch him. He gonna have a temper tantrum in the fit and he gone. He'll be back Tuesday, girl. Yeah, when it's Monday, we might as well go shopping. That's not what we're supposed to do.
All right. You're right about it.
We men and women of God,
Yeah.
if we have we have problems, we take it to God.
Yes.
And we do it privately. Now, the part what is the biggest problem with our people and culture is that we point our fingers at everybody else. Everybody.
Yeah.
You had a spirit of, you may have some who have the spirit of giving, but we have a lot of spirit of receiving. We have people who like to manipulate. We have people that just want to do their own thing. But now it's time that we give God the praise.
Yeah. Thank you, Lord.
The word says, now unto him. Help me, Holy Ghost.
Yeah. Who's able. Yeah.
That is able to keep me
Come
from
on.
falling
Yes. Yes.
and to present me faultless
Yes.
before the presence of his glory
Yeah.
with exceeding joy.
Yes. Yes.
I know a young man who was gone away for a long time. From his youth, he abandoned his calling.
All right now.
He went through many trials and tribulations in life. He started hanging with the ain'ts and not the saints.
All right now. Go ahead. Go ahead.
He abandoned the ministry of music. He was in the youth choir. He wanted to party. He wanted fame. But he didn't have Jesus.
All right now.
I know this young man. He later started dibbing and dabbling in drugs, selling it and using it. And the young man was looking around. Everything was beginning to fall apart. These things occurred with him from his youth. So the young man always ran from everything. He never accepted responsibilities for his doings. And by doing so, the young man started to separate himself from the will of God. Do any of you all know somebody who was like that? Can anybody in this church identify with separating themselves from God? I don't know about you, but the God that I serve, he's able. He will bless you exceedingly and abundantly, above all that you can ask for. Now, this young man, he went away. And when he went away, he found out that his mother was ill.
Jesus.
In the midst of everything,
Jesus.
the young man found his way back here in Chicago.
Have mercy, Lord.
I don't know about you, but no matter how far you get away, God has a way of bringing you back. Sin causes you to be separated. But when you start to get into the presence of God, he'll draw you close. Now this young man came home and he was able to see his